All right.
Yeah. Cool.
Business.
Any exciting businessy things this week? You talk to anybody fun?
I feel like a lot of the things that I've talked to people about has been, I don't know how much I can talk about without oversharing.
This is the wrinkle for doing something like this.
Yeah,
Like we
yeah,
sign
yeah,
NDAs, right? Like I
yeah.
want to talk about what's going on, and sometimes the Albanian mob is involved, and you got to be careful about those sort of things.
But I've seen 365, so like I am winking. I know this is a podcast. So if you're listening, I am winking. Grandma, don't listen.
Your grandma's gonna love it. It's fine.
Grandma's like, what is 365, Tabitha? Don't look that up either. Um, Pricing structure. That is something that has come up so much and is driving me banana pancakes.
It's
Like
hard.
it's it makes me really angry.
What,
And
what, what in particular? Is it like people undervaluing themselves? Is it people ridiculously overvaluing themselves?
um I haven't no ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, we're gonna have to double layer this
Okay,
because
go for
it did come up. It did come up. And one of the people I don't know if I'm still under that NDA.
it.
So we may we'll talk about them vaguely. We'll call
Yeah.
them the cow, and you'll know who I'm talking about.
Mm.
Um, um, but not understanding like we all need to eat. It's important to you need food and you need to survive, but the pricing what you think people will be willing to pay and then selling under that because you think this like imaginary number that you have made up in your head is what will sell.
Yeah. Well, and as
And
somebody who's tremendously guilty of that, I understand. Uh, so thank you for talking me through it too.
but it's like seeing these amazing individuals like James, no, like selling these products or like services. Like today
Mm,
we were talking about a stress service, and I had stress explained to me in a way that's freaking made me really angry at every therapist. I paid obscene amount of money. I'll have to connect you with like what she talked me through because I was like, it
mm,
made me really angry because I have thousands of dollars just like set on
mm,
fire with therapists. Um, but the way she explained it, and then charging like $20 a session,
mm.
and it's like $20 gets you like a frozen pizza. And I understand there you're like, oh well, it's super affordable. But then also, what does that say about you? Like I understand you're like wanting something that's extremely affordable to people, but then there's also like, what does that say in essence, that price tag say about you? Which is also it can also say you're freaking shady as shit. Like whenever you get tacos and you're like, why is this taco 50 cents? I mean, it tastes good, but am I just about to hate my life? Like, there's so many layers to that, and then you sit there and you burn yourself out, like the redlining thing, the redlining that involves cars, not housing. That apparently I was the only person I asked my kid about it. Only person that didn't know was me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you live in the middle of Texas, right? They're not going to talk about it. It just exists.
yeah, did not know, did not know.
Yeah.
Um, Sitting there and like listening to people who do amazing stuff selling like one of the ladies she's selling this semantic workshop and is selling to 5 people $20 a month,
Mm,
5 people making $100 a month, and you can't live. Like how are you going to have a business and not, well, I want to, people can afford it, I want to attract people. what kind of person are you fucking attracting on $20? Like, what does a $20 person look like? Because I know Tabitha who showed up at $20 events are like 50 cent wing night Tabitha. Like, how are you? 50 Cent James, wing night James compared to James now.
You are
What?
gonna get it's an absolute shit show at the best of times, and
Like, it's a whole different version of you. And so it's that pricing, it's so much more than the number. And people just have such a hard time understanding that aspect. And it's so shocking. And well, I'm just starting out, I'm just doing this. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, none of that actually matters. Like, unless you freaking suck, then maybe don't. How about don't do any of it? Um, don't charge anybody anything because you suck, and don't stop.
yeah.
Um,
But this is a thing that you had to talk me through, which again, I really appreciate. Of like, and what helped for me was really establishing like, okay, like this, I would give away my time for free if I could, because I like solving cool problems. But what problems do I want to solve, right? What and how does that pricing structure sort of build into the filtering of who am I working with? Um, your brand is not just, oh, it's a pretty website, and now, James is going to go get a nice new headshot, and it's going to be great, and the millennials will shower him in filthy lucre until they run out of money. Um, no, like you also have to figure out what is the, me as product, right? What is that worth to other people? And am I priced in a place where I'm going to get to talk to the people that I actually want to? Right. So your example, I feel like, that person wants somebody who's going to be really engaged, right? To want to participate, not 50 cent wing night, but like showing up ready to rock. That is not a $20 like entry level, right? You want people to put their money where their mouth is.
$20 person probably isn't going to show up to their session. That's why a lot of people have free sessions, and people don't even show up to them
Yeah.
because they're free sessions. Like, it's like it hurts them not at all to not show up. Like, $20, yes, it means something, but
Yeah.
it's $20.
Well, like the headshot photographer that I'm working with was like, you got to put a 50 cent deposit down or 50% deposit down because a lot of people just don't show. And I'm like, I wouldn't want to walk away from that much money, but I get why you're like, yeah, man, but it's still my hour, and I have to keep it set aside for you, and I can't. The opportunity cost is high,
Yeah.
and I think too pricing structure in a way that is helping dictate both what the opportunity cost is for you as an operator, right? Like you could be working with somebody who would not just be willing to pay you more, but be more fun to work with.
Yeah. You're essentially you're buying that space of time. Whenever you just like shenanigan, you just fuck them. You just fuck somebody. So I yourself, it's a lot harder to walk away from, you know, I never missed a therapy appointment, that's for sure.
Yeah, they were going to charge me anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
Yeah. So it's one of those things like but learning to price yourself, and then there's the entire copywriting side of pricing.
Hmm.
That's super fun and super sexy that people also tend to forget. And then there's all my spiritual girlies who love, and I hate this because I feel like such a like I'm guilty of it, and I feel like such a piece of shit saying this. But it's like it's $3,333 because you freaking like the number three and like it that it says something. That doesn't mean anything. Like I love that, and I love that that number does it for you and it oodles the noodle, but it doesn't do anything like other than if you're speaking to that specific person, and it doesn't there's a whole like psychological aspect
Hmm.
to numbers, and you're just being like, "Oh, I love that." And I'm going to throw all that science away instead of just doing a fun number that I like. And I think that's Also, whenever you're just picking the number out of a hat, you're ignoring the entire aspect as
Yeah.
well.
So how do you pick what your pricing structure is?
So I like to do what I tend to be. I hate that I do this. So I am whenever I shop,
Mm.
I hate that I'm even admitting this. So whenever you're in the store and you
Mm.
see something and it's like $2, and then you see something and it's like 1.99,
Mhm.
and you pick up the 1.99 thing and you're like, this is $1 cheaper, but it's only 1 cent cheaper. That's me. And so I'm like, I'm in with a nine because your brain's like, you know, it's $1,000 cheaper, or it's, when it's really only such a
Small amount.
small
Yeah.
change amount. So I'm a big sucker for a nine. Like that's how I pick. I pick the science number, or I love like the sales number. Like whenever I also do the like what I need to freaking eat science, like the actual budgeting, like because my business is how I eat because I don't want to sell feet pics. So not if that's how you make your money, I love that for you. Drop some links. But not so I can buy feet pics. um,
We are here to support all entrepreneurs, including
yeah,
those of the
I'll
the
make you a
people.
great feet website. James will consult you on how you can make a feet empire. Well,
I'm all sorts of conflicted, to be honest.
I mean, there really is like the feet game is a
Oh, it's
serious
strong,
thing.
dude.
Like there
Yeah.
is like I didn't know like there's so many things that yeah, I didn't know. But now I know because of TV. So thank you, Netflix. But so having like the what your base needs are and then adding the psychology aspect of like the leftmost number and then adding a nine are also seven and five work. And then having the like cells, the FOMO, all that aspect layering in there um, is also super fun. So you take the customer on a journey as they go through the landing page and all that fun stuff
Mm.
rather than being like, I like this number or the I sure hope someone pays for this um, pricing, which is how most people, whenever they start a business, do the thing, are people who are driving their business into Sucks Town. I don't know how Sucksville um, are doing with their business. Um, but yeah, so there's that um, pricing
Okay.
side.
Because for me, I've really struggled with what are the price points for things, right? And in the past, a lot of my work has been project based, right? I come in to do a strategic plan. I come in to do like a technology overhaul project, and you sort of estimate the amount of time that it's going to take you. You have a rough idea of what you need per hour to live and to run your business, and then the math is easy. The idea of for everybody out there who's thinking about coaching or things like that, it's like, what is that individual session? And now you're like, what is the lifetime, revenue per like client? Um, for me, yeah, each project was, maybe 70 or $80,000, but spread over a couple of consultants and a year. Whereas if you're looking at like, oh, I want to have regular sessions with people, you still need to make that same amount of money. You just have to figure out what that looks like in terms of hourly and how many clients and how thin are you going to spread yourself uh, in that direction. And so, yeah, even now I think about, the idea of running out office hours and having those conversations and being like, well, I'm kind of throwing a number like at the dartboard and to see what sticks. Right? I don't really know where that ends up. So I guess my follow up question would be, how often have you changed them? Like, have you done any sort of testing around like, is this drawing in more? Could I go up? Um, or are you hitting the number that you need and kind of hanging out there for right?
I'm in the part where I'm slowly creeping up. I think the big point is not to fluctuate in a way that makes people deeply angry. Because I recently worked with somebody who went from a very high price point to a low rate that made me like the fury inside of
Mm.
my body. It's like one of those like 3 a.m. things where you're like, um, so don't do that
Yeah.
because that was $6,000 down there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I can definitely see going up. Right, everybody's sort of on. Well, I guess we're all sort of on board with inflation. We don't really have a choice. Um, but
Well, your
the
quality
big
gets
drop
better.
would be, yeah,
Like your quality is constantly improving. You're improving.
yeah,
So as you are going up.
yeah.
Um,
That's I think a really good way to think about it. Is I am provide like the more I do this, the better I am at tailoring what I think people are going to really need. So yeah, maybe I'm charging more per hour, but they're actually getting more value per session, because I'm just better at honing in on the things that are actually the problem. Um, for me, because again, right, like I struggle with the idea that I'm going to charge people hundreds of dollars to talk to me at any given point. Right, when it's a project, sure, of course I do. Right, that makes total sense to me. But the idea of an individual conversation and then moving that number up, um, not just for the sake of moving it up, but like I am genuinely providing more value to these folks as I get better.
I'm gonna brag on James for a hot second
Uh-oh.
of the session with James of life changing, even a blog by James, the appliance blog, like
Mm.
sitting there and like just having read that and sitting there and seeing like where I had fucked myself. And we'll link that down below. But like the way you approach situations in a way that, and this was a team that James worked with, seeing the way that you approach things that is so uncanny and so innovative and so like you could have painted this shit on a wall and I would have seen it. Like could be on your face tattoo. You'd be Post Malone and I would have seen it. Um, but the way you approach things is such a out of a box way
Mm.
of seeing things, and this is why you do business in a way that is so like because it this is like a whole market gap situation, different podcast.
Yeah.
But just because there's fucking pain point doesn't mean the pain point is the answer. Your problem. You can build a whole business and be the wrong fucking business.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I think that it speaks to my own business as well, right? And it's not, go read the blog. The blog's pretty cool. I enjoyed writing it. It was a neat project to work on. But like with moving from really like, heavy nonprofit consulting, and with a fair amount of like tech bro stuff mixed in, to the idea of being much more problem focused, right, is a switch from what are the normal pain points that people see, right, where it's we need a strategic plan. For nonprofits, it's for funders, right? Funders want to see things. To, well, how do we solve the actual problems? Because that was always the bit that was more interesting for me. Um, was just the once we start to dig into stuff, what are we really finding? And yeah, like it should go in a strategic plan, and you should talk about how you're going to manage it, and there should be a roadmap and all this stuff. And really actually doing something about it are two different things. And that's where the fun is for me, as a consultant, is coming in and fixing a thing, and then you know coming back 6 months later and be like, did it work? Let's figure this out. There's always follow up, but it's not in the same way as it's those sort of second and third order solutions to things that we talk about. Of yeah, we can immediately identify that we need to figure out what we're doing for the next 5 years, but why are we doing the things that we want to do? right? What is the need that's actually being solved by this solution, as opposed to just we're solving a thing because we know it exists and there's low hanging fruit to be gained there. Right? There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not comprehensive in solving the issue, right? I think about technology problems most is like, yeah, you just buy software to solve a problem. And then 3 or 4 years down the road, you have a tech stack that's $15,000 a month, and you don't really know why and what all of these programs do or who's using them. Um, I was working with a national nonprofit out here that did exactly that, right? 10 years of what people are calling tech debt, or yeah, basically, of just accumulation of stuff, right? In-house software that they'd had written, just everybody's got documents stuffed everywhere, right? There's no cohesion around it. And so their thought was, well, let's move to this other platform, right? Let's move from, I think, Microsoft to Google, and that will solve all the problems. But you've already got people who are using it. You're already kind of there, right? What you need is structure. What you need is a plan for where do things live, and taking that big step back of that sort of meta level, like, okay, we have the issue is not the technology, right? The issue is the way that people are using technology, and then the why is that is because we haven't told them how to do it, and if you don't have a plan, you can't execute on it, and there's not a standard to be like to point people to, and so people make up solutions to the problems they have, right? Not wrong, just hard to do and very hard to scale.
I feel like also the person that has to come in and be like the what is her name, Marie Kondo or whatever, the organization person is like the most hated person
Oh
of
yeah,
the entire thing. The like everybody hates you.
a million
Um,
percent. That's why you should hire a consultant to do it, because
yeah,
then we go away, and they don't have to hate you. You don't hate your boss any more than you normally do.
because like with the move, if you don't hire somebody like James, what you're doing is like in this oh this happens like I knew one friend freaking horrid apartment disgusting.
Mm.
I was like you how do you live like this? It's because of the apartment, it's because of the apartment. Moves in, takes all that mess, dumps it in a brand new house with her boyfriend, like literal dumps it.
Yeah,
And I was like I love this for real. We are no longer friends, but that's what you're doing.
yeah,
So need someone to actually make the move work,
yeah. You have
and
to,
sometimes
that's
you
that
don't
spark
need.
joy, right?
Yeah, you need someone to actually add the to make sense of the clusterfuck in your life.
Yeah. And that's, obviously something that people can do in house, right? I've worked with organizations where we hired an intern who was responsible for just going through all of the documents and identifying what things were, right? Especially if you've got decades of records, you may have no idea, right? You had turnover, people who've left, you have lost a lot of that institutional knowledge of just what things were and who stashed them where. And yeah, sometimes just having somebody go through and be like, why do we still have this? And asking those questions is a very worthwhile exercise. Um, and paring things down so that you can, when you start to talk about particularly data migrations, things get really expensive the more data you have. When you have several terabytes of just stuff, right? Going through and cleaning house before you move, he says as he thinks about before he gets ready to move, uh, is enough, right? Like, so often just that exercise can get you a long way down the road. And it's not something you have to spend a lot of money on. Like, you can do this on your own. It's just a question around like, is your time available to do it? Um, and or would it be better to scale a little bit into having some help?
And how much do you want that person that you make doing it in house to hate you?
Yeah, there's definitely that. Right, you need to still assign some person to help with the process because when I've come in and looked at stuff, I never have the context for like, is this important? Um, but because I don't want to be like, oh, if it's more than 3 years old, you don't need it. Well, you might, right? You can't just chop it off,
Chop it off.
but
Never a thing.
just go. It's not worth it at that point. If the feds aren't going to look for it, it's not worth having.
I take that back. Keep everything. Don't ask how I know.
Yeah. No, and so yeah, I think there's a balance there of having the appropriate context to actually go through it and do it well. And yeah, dude, you want somebody to go away. Um, the resource, whoever is doing it and whoever is starting to impose new rules, right? Regardless of how good your sort of change management plan is, like somebody's going to be pissed off. And if it's a consultant, we get paid to go away at the end of the day. Um, and we come back too. Like it's hard to offend a consultant. It really is. We
And then
get paid to take abuse a lot of times.
you can be like, okay, well, James is only here for another month, and don't make us bring James back. Like, it's kind of like, what is it? The person that's like the trouble, like the enforcer
Mm.
parent. Like,
I'm just thinking, like, I'm not going to come in and like dom your organization into shape. Like, that's not the work that I do anymore.
different
But
different service.
yeah, it is a little bit. It's not that, but it is gentler. I will defer to your HR expertise as to whether or not you're allowed to do that in today's workplace.
It depends on the workplace. I
That's
went
fair.
into business in San Antonio, and there was a back room where they were like, "Are you here for?" It was leashes and licks, and I was like, I didn't know
Maybe.
if it's like a pet thing or like something else. But whenever the lady arrived, I was like, "Oh, this is a chat." So yeah,
That's
it
a
is
that's a
still,
whole benefit package I've never heard of before.
yeah, like it is still a thing that you can experience at
Okay.
a place of work. So
Now I'm really curious who this is. We'll talk about it afterwards.
yes. But yeah, like it is, organization is like, I mean, hours and hours of clock time that you're saving. That, I mean, ooh, you want to talk about people running the clock. You want to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're somebody in house too, there's sort of you. Well, now we can talk about like the sunk cost fallacy and why bringing in somebody outside is not as expensive as you think it is. And that's not to just defend consulting because that's how I make money, but like genuinely, we can be a lot cheaper in terms of both financial and emotional externalities. Uh, there's a lot of not wanting to do things and slow rolling and not even intentionally, right? But when you assign something to staff, you're like, oh, they just cost this much. But what's the opportunity cost on their time, right? When I
And
come in, there's a number attached to it, but there's also a number of hours, right? This is how much I expect, and unless I run into something wildly outside what I expected to, that's the number of hours that I'm gonna both spend on it and cost. Um, like change orders exist, but they're really rare as far as how I tend to do business. Um,
this is not Bob, the admin assistant, that's going to sit there and spend, 80 hours just like organizing a Google Drive while like also watching Netflix. And he's closing that tab every time you walk in.
yeah,
Yeah, just
and
letting you
rightly
know
so,
that is a
right?
thing.
But like, there is a certain amount of like you should be able to put something on in the background if you're just doing mindless sorting. Um,
No, read all the things. There's always something that you're going to be like,
wait a second.
I
This is what we call leverage.
remember going through is like what reusable copywriting emails we could go through, and I was going
Mm,
through all these like, can we use these, or were these things that got us in trouble?
mm,
And I went through, and there was some juicy, like I was like, there was some stuff, and there was also like psychological like therapy things that I was like, what were we doing?
yeah. Well. this, another reason we end up signing NDAs. Man, woo, sometimes you start digging into stuff and people forget what they put on their work computers. Don't put it on your work computer.
Oh,
It's not yours.
oh.
uh, but yeah, no.
So,
Whew.
organization.
Organization. So I guess the kind of follow on to that bit is, how do you know when it's time? Right? How do you know when it's time to start really thinking about structure? Because one of the quips that you've come out with recently is like, chaos can scale too, and I really love it. But like, how do you know when it's time to start really thinking about it in an affirmative sort of way?
Ooh, oh gosh. I feel like there's several layers to that. Like when you have new people that are asking people that you're paying a higher price point to do work. So you have, Kimberly who's making $12 an hour asking Sam who's making $40 an hour to help her find, a folder that, basic contract. That freaking that's sign one. Anytime someone spent like over 30 minutes, it could be you searching for something. Like anytime a excessive amount of effort, or not even excessive, I would say uncomfortable amount, or I feel like this is getting into the chaos can scale.
Mhm.
Whenever there's a misalignment and stuff going on, like the ball gets dropped, that's a good one. Whenever it's like, okay, we'll have what's on the calendar the first time, like, well, where is, I'm going to keep on using gym. No gyms were harmed during this. But it's like, okay, where's Jim's, 2 o'clock meeting? Everybody's like, what 2 o'clock meeting? Because Jim's at the dentist. Um, because there's no actual like company calendar. There's no like alignment in anything because everybody's still working on, the things that you use whenever you're first getting going. You have your own little personal calendars. Maybe you have shared calendars. We all do it. There's a certain moment where you need to scale and get that organization going. And that's like right when your balls get dropped, and usually along with those balls, there's a money, a dollar sign that usually
It's true.
goes
Right around
with
when the balls
that.
drop
I'm
is
trying to
when you
save
probably
it.
need to start thinking about your life a little bit.
There's
Yeah.
a
Yeah. No, I
um,
absolutely agree. I do think that, like, I think you're sort of talking about is, these moments where like something has gone sideways a little bit, good or bad, right? There's been a big change. Um, you know, your first example of when somebody new comes on, I love anytime I've had a new employee to have them just take a look at all of our operating procedures about a month in, right? So that they're still new, and and be like, okay, you've done many of the things now for your job that hopefully we have some documentation around. How close were we? Right? Just what would you say if you were like, oh, here's the ideal state that we've described, right? And here's what actually happened.
do they ever
Right?
tell the truth?
Oh yeah, many, many times. The amount of people who express frustration around being like, this was totally bullshit the whole time, right? None of this was true, is great, right? Because then you're like, okay, well, please write down what was true, because that's the new procedure. Like, if we're gonna, and then we can say, okay, well, we didn't really like the fact that you had to go down the street to HR 6 times in order to get the appropriate, document for some esoteric nonsense that we forced on you. Um, let's figure out what that pain point is really about. And yeah, that does sort of presuppose that you have taken the time to build some of these things. Um, I think my question was both about, when in an acute way should you be looking at it, but also like when should you as an organization start thinking about standard operating procedures. And I'm working with a law firm now that is about 8 people, um, and they're hiring their second senior attorney. And so, they've gone from 15 intake calls a month to 150 over the last year. It's a huge increase in demand for their services. And they're great. Like, they do amazing work. But they're very much at a point of there are things that lawyers have to do legally, and there are all of the other things that do not have to be done by somebody with JD after their name. And so, really spending the time to dig in around, okay, what does the division of labor look like? Right? What do people need to be doing? What do I have to be doing as an attorney? What can I farm off onto other people to prepare for me, to work through, to answer, and then building procedures that allow you to maximize your own hours. Right? As a solo practitioner, yeah, dude, chaos is great. Right? You just wing it, sure, and you can do it forever. I do
That's
it.
your own chaos. So it's
Yeah.
like only
Well, you
person
own
you're
it.
mad at is you.
Yeah. When I can't find something in my Google Drive, I'm like, oh, well, it's probably in, any the three other places that I can think of. Um, but as soon as you start bringing in other people, yeah, you have to have some idea of some structure, right?
And that's whenever you can also whenever you expand. And especially like I would say, like even going past 6, I mean, could even be like past 6. And I'm not saying this is not every business, but you and me have experienced this. You can get one person that can entirely royal fuck something,
Oh
like
yeah,
will destroy your. You get like law firm, you get one person that, let's say, a shenanigan relationship in the workplace goes wild, freaking crash and burn your entire business.
yeah,
And you could have not known about it.
yeah,
Jim, again, with the other secretary,
yeah,
like he got a promotion. He's no longer admin. No, like
yeah,
you could have something completely implode. And now, thanks to social media and ways things are so open and available, can just be everywhere all at once.
yeah.
And
Well,
so it's
yeah, and
having
now you have
operation
three problems.
procedures, but also having like protections and paperwork that, well, I didn't know I couldn't do that in the copy room. Um, Having
But
those things are important.
but then you have three problems, right? You have the public facing one, you have the internal HR issue, and then you have, all right, well, you've probably fired at least one of them. What do you like? Where's all of the things that they know about, right? To talk about the structure side, right? Like, let alone, the other two are podcasts in and of themselves. But like, just where is their stuff,
Yeah.
right? Now that they're gone, how do you replicate what they've been doing?
Yeah. And without
Not,
that
not sharing it in the copy
organization,
room, but like, yeah,
without the organization, Jim, who's the only person that was organizing anything,
yeah,
like instant chaos of no one else knows how anything's done. So it's like having the standard operating procedures, and I love having the new person. And this is where James is an awesome boss, because I don't think I've never had someone ask me, like, sit down and be like, how have you liked it here? Um, and yeah, I would probably be like, it's wonderful. It is B, um, but
yeah. We got to get you out of there, man.
I've been in some scary stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but,
That
um,
was some trauma talking. That was
it's the cold guys. Like,
yeah.
um, but, but there's like, having that, being able to tell the truth. So you have actual knowledge of, because unlike a firing for good reasons, but you have people, someone goes into labor early. There's, situations, somebody has to take FMLA. Like, usually when your FMLA comes into hand, so, like something, I've had to take FMLA. Something happened with my kid. I had to step away from work immediately for 2 weeks. There, At the time, oh gosh, I was having to take federal records every 15 minutes in a book.
Hmm.
So that became someone else's job. So I hope
No,
someone liked
yeah.
doing that. Uh,
I think very much to your point. Right? I had a colleague at a city that I worked at years ago whose wife had cancer, um, and he just could not be in the office anymore. And he shouldn't have been, right? Human things always come first. Somebody will put in the comments about how we should have fired him or whatever. Like, and yeah, he had union protection, but he was also a dude who had worked for the city for a very long time, and he was a great colleague and a genuine expert, and he just needed to be able to take a ton of time off. And so nobody begrudged him doing that and kind of covering for some of his stuff, right? Because that's what you do for people in community. Um, but we also had built structure in a way that allowed people to take up that slack with a minimum amount of like having to call him every 20 minutes and be like, where'd you hide this thing? Um, we could just go, we knew where the folders were, right? Like, and it's a shame that Casey's not on here because she would repeat the oft used piles are not files, James. I'm better about it now. It's at least all in files on Drive. Uh, we don't keep paper anymore. But the ability to pivot in the event of personnel change for whatever reason, right, is a big reason that as soon as you start to bring people in, whether it's you're hiring folks, whether you're working with other consultants, right, the how you build file structure, how you build team structure, what are the lines of communication, right? All of these things matter so that you can pivot when you need to. There's a lot of emergencies that can come up, or people just like flake, um, and you got to be able to hold up your end of things. As somebody who tends to be the project manager on things, I get to sort of dictate a lot of how this works. Because congratulations, you're signing up to work for me vaguely. Uh, and it makes everybody more comfortable with the relationship, right? You know what the expectations are, you know how things are going to work. I like to go so far as to be like, here are my working hours. If you contact me outside of these working hours, you're not going to hear from me until the next day. Um, there's nothing that I do that is actively on fire outside of a data migration, and then I've hired somebody to babysit that at night. Um, and if it's going horribly wrong, I'm sorry, but like you pay for the liability on that one. Um, and so being able to pivot because you've built like real structure, robust structure, is worth the investment. Whether it's somebody you brought in or whether you've done it on your own, um, just as a security piece, right?
I want to
And I
like
think it helped build community too. Go for it. I'm sorry, I keep running you
I want
over.
to like clip that and like reference it whenever you're talking about redlining, how running like a horse and then being like putting in worth the investment. You don't bring yourself someone else's problems, like
Yeah.
putting that in. James's reminder for future self.
Yeah. That's a future James problem. No, I'm super guilty of it, and I will use every hour of every day that I can to do cool things, or not cool things, because I feel strongly about doing a good job. Um, and you do have to do good jobs in things that are not your job. And here's a whole another session around like how do you work life balance? Who is she? But there is, right, but you have to build that too, right? That's part of the structure. um, I live in a time zone and I work with people who are in other time zones, and there have been times where I have flexed really hard to make meetings. One as recently as 4 in the morning my time to talk to somebody in a place that was far away, and in a lot of cases that's worth it. But you
Has
build
it?
that in, you make it, and you make it rare, because I'm not going to do that every day. Dear God, no. So, but yeah, I think in terms of coming back to like the redlining thing of just running straight out, if you think you're going to grow real fast, that's the time to start building structure, right? I hope to scale reasonably quickly as I kind of come into this next iteration of my own business. And I'm already thinking about what help am I going to need? Having now done this is startup number 11, both mine and, that I've worked with from scratch. And just putting those things into place of being like, here's the, I know that I'm going to need copywriting help. I know that I'm going to need some admin help. I know that I'm not going to pay any attention to social media at all, because it's not something I'm good at. It's not something I enjoy. And this terrifies the shit out of me. And so you bring in people to help, right? I have a Tabitha who comes in and who like, we have great conversations, and I have a Casey who helps with social media and like, is going to babysit admin things, and it lets me do the things that I'm really good at, um, without actually dropping the ball on anything else. And so that's really where, as you move from a solo practitioner to a team of any sort, right? Just being thoughtful around what is everybody doing, and does everybody kind of understand what their role is.
I feel like this can also circle back to pricing. Full circle. I
I
could go Tyra Banks and make a square. I don't know if you watched that documentary. Uh,
don't think I'm the target demographic.
Worst 3 hours of my life. But um, there's like people that are gonna like advise you to be like, if you want to freaking scale and you want to freaking grow, you gotta hire help now. And then you hire help, and then you immediately like crash and burn because your goal is only to grow and scale. And I had this conversation. One of my biggest pet peeves is like those people you don't get on social media. Never mind. But on social media, this app called Instagram. No,
I'm aware of it. I'm not a total
there's
luddite.
like these coaches, and
Sure.
they'll like cold message you and be like, "Oh my god, are you like ready to grow and scale your business?" And I
I'm
always
liking that love
reply,
your vibe.
they're like, my reply is always like, "Isn't the goal to like work less?" Never reply. Never replies. Um, because
Well,
that's
there's
the
a whole other conversation too around like what is the goal of working, right? What
yeah,
are you trying to accomplish by doing any of this?
friggin'
I'm just
15,
fundamentally unable to work for other people.
15-hour
That's why
weeks.
I'm here.
That's the goal. 15-hour week.
Done, man.
Yeah, that's what I want. Um, but hiring people that support you and being in a place where that's not going to, once again, you gotta fucking eat.
Yeah,
So
and then if you're
where
going to
is
feed
it?
people, you have a responsibility to feed them too.
Yeah, where is that balance? And also there's like the ethical balance of how, like, I know a lot of the advice is immediately go hire somebody on Upwork. That's different conversation.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
however you feel about that,
yeah. Well, and I
with
think there's a difference between gig work, right? I've certainly worked with people on Upwork around specific projects, and like they set their own pricing. Whereas if you're just looking for lowest cost option,
you're going to get the lowest quality work. And a lot of time, those are corporations that are literally running. And so you're getting like this, $3 an hour person, and you're like, score, I'm getting, your huge list of all the things that you're like, this is a social media manager. And it's like, they're going to answer all your emails and do all these, make copies and like
yeah.
build your website, like all these crazy ass things that you're going to ask them to do. And they're literally going to be the worst fucking person at that job. And I love you and I think you're great. But
Yeah. Well, are they in any way set up for success, right?
yeah,
At $3 an hour.
I I feel so bad whenever I talk to people after this has happened. And it's like, one time I was in a program and it was 6 girls hired the same person, and they all got fucked all at the same time. They were all launching at the same time. and this could be the way I'm describing it. I'm not going to use the F word now because it's making it sound bad. All were robbed of their funds all at the same time, um, because they went with the lowest cost option. That was also a referral from someone who also shenaniganed off. Um, there's a reason why they're the lowest cost option a lot of the time. So once again, with pricing yourself.
Yeah, yeah, it can be really tough to, because all of these things are so interrelated, right? We've just spent an hour talking about how all of these pieces sort of move against each other, and yeah, it is super difficult. And now is when I plug my new course. There is no course. I'm not doing that.
How
You
to
want to talk
Games 101.
about? To be honest, it should be how to Tabitha because she's the one that's been doing it for me. But yeah, no, I think that there are so many pieces that you have to juggle, right? And this is where you know are you, as you're thinking about moving from doing it by yourself to doing it with other people, like are you prepared? Yeah. Are you prepared for all of these other things that you have to work through? Um, for those who are just listening, Tabitha has a dirty.
I'm gonna find a way to not like. I'm gonna get better at this. It'll be better.
No. I think this is great because I genuinely feel like this is what people are going to tune in for. Uh,
Have you seen Ricky Stenicki?
no.
Okay, watch it. Make sure your kid's not in the room. Watch it with your wife. It's freaking funny. But it's like I do a lot of hand motions, and they talk about air dicking, and like and I was like I air dick all the time. So whenever I talk, I have a friend that'll literally message me, and she's like, "Fucking stop jacking people off," and I'm just like,
There's going to be so many GIFs. Is it GIF? Is it GIF? I don't remember.
I don't know which one it is. I'd say GIF, like a
Did you
panther.
came out? I think it was hard G GIF. Um, yeah, but like, why do we care what he has to say? Just because you invented it, screw up, man. But no, I think the piece of like it gets really complex really quickly, and if you're not prepared for it, and I think most people aren't, right? I'm, my favorite example is working with a plumber out here who had gotten to like 3 crews, right? And so that's 4 trucks, right? He goes and does some stuff. He's got 3 plumbers that work for him who go and do things. And that was a reasonable amount for him to manage because he would do like a job a day personally and then bounce around to the other ones to make sure that people were okay. But as soon as he tried to grow beyond that, now you're into, all right, well, how are we managing schedule? How are we managing, and you don't learn that in plumber school. I don't know that you learn that in graduate school, right? It's something that you learn as you do it, or you take a very specific class that was never offered for me.
Business admin management concentration specifically. And they make you play like a video game. Welcome to our life now.
I'm unsurprised. But no, like his step to being like making that next big step involved 1,000 things that he had to put into place before he hired his next plumber, right? And he had no idea where to go with it, right? And so that conversation over a beer was the thing that like generated the project of, all right, well, let's figure out what the roadmap really looks like. Go for it.
I was like, here's where, once again, James's strategic work session. Plug one call with James. That's a freaking
It is
change
more
your life.
expensive than a beer now. I'm sorry.
Several crates of beers.
No, I think yeah, it is very complex, and you don't always know what you don't know what you don't know. And most people fumble their way through, and sometimes you get lucky, and oftentimes you have enough runway to screw up a bunch and still come out the other side. That's basically what his plan was to just run at it. Um, until a buddy at the Chamber of Commerce put us, together, and we came up with an actual plan. Um, but just because you're sitting out there thinking like, oh, this is going to go exactly the way that I wanted it to, it still did not, right? But we were able to at least build enough structure that he was robust. Like his organization was robust in, the bit where somebody got arrested on a job, and you know,
That never happened to me. Like, I want to be like the person being serviced, not the person being arrested. Like, that would be so like
mm.
entertaining. Like,
I man, that was a whole fun thing. He had stolen a bunch of tools, so the reason he got arrested was because his boss had turned him into the cops. It was a thing.
oh, yeah,
Um,
I want like arrested for like murder. Not my murder.
so be careful working with Tabitha. Let's talk about going too high, because we did talk about it a little bit with the like the angel numbers. Is that the thing?
No, no,
Of
no,
just
no.
okay, that's just arbitrary pricing. So we're going too high now.
Okay.
Because that is my fear, is that I'm going to be like, give me all the money, and nobody be like, screw you, dude.
No, no, no. Like, there really is like, okay, this is like, it is both correct and it is both wrong. There is no too high because there is always somebody like, if anybody has ever been on Gwyneth Paltrow's website, go give it a go. Give yourself a ha for the day. What is it?
Get you
Freaking
some poop.
water
Is that
bottle
what
that's like $80 with a
yeah.
rock in it. Oh, the spray, energy vampire spray. That'll protect you from energy vampires. Super expensive. Eggs you put places. Like crazy, crazy shit. Random stuff that you could buy for like $1. Can't make this up. People will buy shit. That's just
Also,
there is no price.
don't put 50-cent wing hoo ha, like stuff in your hoo ha. That's
Yeah.
not a great idea.
No. Don't do that. Don't.
Just good life advice, really.
We're gonna put that on a coffee mug. You can buy
Yeah.
that. Link below.
If it goes inside you, it should probably be expensive.
Yeah. At least a $2 hot wing. No. Set the bar higher.
That's a whole kink that I am very uncomfortable with all of a sudden.
Don't Google that, okay? Do not. That's the one thing I will not.
If that
I
is your
don't want.
content business, put your links down in the comments, right next to the feet pics, and we'll do a poll to see what people want more of.
I do want to see the poll though. I do want to see which one wins.
Yeah.
But people will pay. Like, that's the whole thing. There is like, due to unnamed places that I have
Yeah.
been of service to, I have seen people pay. Worked in financial publishing. I feel like that needs a disclaimer because now, as like, due to things we have discussed, I could have been a chicken wing stuffer.
Yeah.
I worked in financial publishing. I saw people pay $38,000 email membership to just receive emails that people like me were writing. Ask me what I know about trading. I don't even know what a penny stock is now. I didn't know what a penny stock is now. I learned by writing the email. $38,000.
And I think that's a lot more common than people think.
Yeah.
Right? And especially we're charging you an astronomical amount of money for somebody else to actually do the work.
Yeah. And we would be like live events, and we would watch a insane amount of money. And this was drinking Tabitha, so we had some box wine, me and my friend Casey. And yes, box wine. This is the level I was at. She was early 20s, so I was like down with the young ones.
That's so cool.
And so hip. Watch these people, like, it was like mid-call shelling out $38,000 to receive emails
Mhm.
that we were writing that for stock advice that wasn't as good as any advice on the internet. Like, that literally you could have just, like, Googled, or you could look up what Nancy Pelosi was buying yourself. Like, all of the information was already available to you. Dark web scanners. We had, a random guy that literally had these you weren't allowed to. We found out you weren't
Mhm.
allowed to have them. But he had like the server and like scanner things like in his apartment. Like you could also have one. Like, don't get caught with it. But that was bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Um, but
Standard disclaimer applies down here in
yeah,
the.
but it was access, like people will pay for things if they want to have it, whether it's a crystal egg or a random email written by someone who knows nothing about the topic. Um, there is no correct answer. Like that, you can go as high as you want. People will pay it. And so that's where you're at. The like question for yourself is, do you want to sit there, hustle your little ass off, or you know I'm not going to brain this math. I'm not going to mathing this math like on site. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not that quick. Hustle your little booty off for, fresh clients. You need, 30 fresh clients at a $500 client price point every freaking month just to get by. When you could set that price point higher, have the caliber of client that you want that's going places, like your second and third decision, that is not someone just, bootstrapping their business. That is not a like, I woke up 2 days ago and I have a great sneaker idea guy.
I
Um,
love to hear about your apps, by the way, but I'd like come to me when you've had a seed round.
yeah. After crowdfunding has happened, please visit James. Like, um, but like that's the conversation you need to have with yourself. And one of those conversations, you want to sit there and I know it's like, oh, well, it's easier to put this price point. Is it actually fucking
Yeah.
easy?
Yeah.
Like, because sitting there watching so many of my friends sit there and suffer through, like, they are like, no, I can't use that term anymore. Um, Wheel of Fortuning their
Mhm.
prices constantly of what is the magical random angel number I can use that will make people buy my product. And it's not visiting the copy, using any psychological tools or anything to do with what they actually need. The price point thing, there are people like, if you, I don't even want to say his name, but like, I'm going to say a company. I'm going to say a company because I feel so gross. If you want to price owner of Tesla prices, there's obviously a person that is able to pay that price point. But you have to, you, the product, and you, the company, have to be the people that sell to that. Because if you're, if you like raggedy, if you're like, you're 50 Cent hot wing gal,
Yeah. Well, you're not going to get in the room
yeah,
with Tesla Bro.
yeah, you have to be that, you have to make yourself that person. Your company has to be on that level. And that's where it's not just pricing. It has, you have to fucking up level on every single way to also do those things. So it is, there is a too high for you.
I think that's the wrinkle.
Yeah.
Is like, what do you really bring into the table in this equation,
How much
right?
are
Like,
you willing to spend to be able to price high, I guess, because it does cost to be you have to I mean, what is the saying? You have to spend money to make money.
well, and you know, I think my big concern in pricing structure, right, is like, do I feel like I'm delivering an appropriate amount of value for the dollars that I'm asking for? And yeah, especially in a project basis, I've gotten really good at being like, this is actually what this costs, and I'm going to get you what you need out of it. In the less formal basis of like, what is a random conversation gonna get you? Yeah, it's gonna take some experimenting for me to feel comfortable with a number. Um, but even then, right? What signal is that putting out into the world with regard to who do I want to work with? What am I trying to do? Um, and so now we're at, yeah, you can't, don't I don't think anybody's going to immediately sign up to give me $38,000 to read some emails. 5 or 10 years from now, are people going to be interested in spending a quantity of money to have a conversation with me that is more than I think than I'm comfortable with right now? Maybe we'll find out. Uh, we're gonna we're gonna see what happens. I don't know, but I'm comfortable with that idea, right? Of by adjusting it from I'm just picking a number and seeing what happens to I'm kind of picking a number, but it's based on the income that I need to generate in order to make the operation go and to like pay my rent. Um, to I'm now testing what the market will actually bear for what people value my time at. Like that makes it an empirical exercise. Right now, it's science and not just winging it.
I feel like you're also putting yourself in the what the market will actually pay at. You're putting yourself, what will people pay?
But it's but by testing it and by repeating that test, we're saying, all right, well, if $500 is something that I'm full at, right? Am I full at 1,000? Am I full at 1,500? Right? And am I getting the people? Am I having the conversations that I want to be having? Right?
There.
Maybe I don't need to be full. If I say, all right, I'm going to do 8 hours a week of office hours. This is sort of my plan because I like the project work more. But this is another way of generating projects and of sort of supplementing revenue to the organization. Um, if I'm at 6 hours, but those 6 hours are all awesome conversations, and I'm paying, people are at $2,500 a conversation, then I'm making the money I need to, and I don't really need to fill those other hours. So where's that break point? Right? And that's where I'm thinking about the sort of testing aspect of it. Of we're gonna go up, right? We're gonna see what the market will bear until I hit a maximum of it's either I'm now out of the conversations I want to be having because there is a too big for me at a certain point. I've worked with Fortune 100 companies. I've done big consulting. It's not as much fun because you're not really making an impact. So there is a bit where I'm just like, it's not really the work that I want to be doing. So
In the
somewhere
room
in
with
between
people you don't want to serve. You're like, oh
there.
no. Oh no.
Well, if you can afford $38,000 for Tabitha to send you emails, then you absolutely should pay Tabitha that money.
Any kind of
And
emails you want now. No.
I don't know that I'm the guy to help you with your problems. I like maybe, but it may not be fun for me. And I have the great privilege of being at a point in my career where is it fun for me is a question that gets to factor into the work that I'm doing. And it's incredibly privileged to say that. But yeah, that's where I'm at, and that's kind of cool. Um, I know most folks, probably a lot of folks who listen to this aren't going to be able to say that right now, but I hope that for all of you, right? The greatest freedom is the freedom to choose.
Well, that's the beauty of the working for yourself. And I don't know. I know I don't wanna say the name of the reference. I know I've talked to you about it, and I wanna make that
Mm,
adult children's book about it, but it's like
mhm.
my first client that I gave, like, a stupid, cheap excuse, like, price to, like, stupid, dumb, dumb, dumb price to. Like, that was my worst. Like, I liked her. Like, I bought her products were really expensive. Worst person I've ever worked for. I hate her. Like, it changed, like, I haven't bought shit from her. I, like, despised her because she was so horrid to work with, and she was such a, like,
Yeah.
subhuman, but it
Mhm.
was just, like, she, like, it went from a 10-hour, like, brick to, like, I coulda have went to the Dairy Queen and literally enjoyed, like, not no shame with Dairy Queen, I
Yeah,
freaking first job scooping ice cream. I will happily scoop ice cream rather than
yeah.
work for her. But I was like, I'm scooping ice cream. Like, it is okay to say no whenever you look at the balancing act and how you can replace that person, because you know what? It cost me a lot more to work for her than, yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Well, there's a whole question about like when do you fire a client, and you know, should, but I think more germane to where we're at now is like you as you're starting, right? And here's a place where with startups, I've seen people really struggle is you're starting from a place of aspiration and you're starting from a place of sometimes desperation and not from strength, right? And not from a place of I am currently able to pay all my bills. And so I'm starting a thing because I love it and because I'm passionate about it and because I think I can do it well. And it's a I see people on the internet who are entrepreneurs who are doing all these great things, and part of the reason I'm not on social media is because 99% of it is nonsense. um, but you're not going to get there immediately,
yeah,
right? It
and
takes a
most of those
long
people are
time to
lying.
pay your bills doing it yourself, and especially if you're coming at it, as I look at the revision, like rebranding an existing company with existing clients, I have $100,000 budget to do this. Right? You don't have to have $100,000 to do it. I started the last one from nothing, like with nothing, and that sucked a lot harder than coming at it with some budget, right? And a plan and partners in place who were ready to help with the things that I needed, right? It's you can do it. You absolutely can. I almost always recommend to folks that I have like these I want to do within conversations of take the next 6 months, put some money back, and really like figure out what your roadmap looks like. Because otherwise, you're going to get there, you're going to quit your job, and you're not going to have anything to replace that income.
Like, what is it? The three like options: the save money, the straddle, one foot in, one foot out, and then the fuck this, I quit. And one of those
Yeah,
is really, really
rarely
fucking
work.
hard.
Yeah,
Or one of those is like you potentially got fired and you're like, I never want to work for somebody ever again.
yeah,
Freaking this is the time. Thank
yeah.
you, universe, for my sign. Um,
And that's the hard one to start from.
yeah, that is a. But sometimes I don't know. Sometimes that's the one, the freaking from the
For folks
windows
who
to
need a
the
catalyst.
wall moment. So yeah,
Yeah. But even then, right, talking about your first client, right, and the idea of pricing super low just to get something in the door.
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. But the
Like,
need to eat versus the
yeah,
need to be
I
patient
should
and wait
have.
for good clients.
I guarantee she would have said yes if I had even doubled my price. I had priced myself too low, and she treated me like that price. That was the whole thing. She treated me like I had price. And let's just say it was like a $5 an hour. Let's just say, yeah, stupid low, stupid low. I was so angry at myself. I saw that invoice the other day and I was like,
You be like that sometimes, though.
yeah. So even doubled, even quadrupled, she would have said yes and she would have respected me more.
In
Like,
fact, I find the clients that I've taken on, like pro bono, have respected me more than the clients that paid me very little. So think about that as you go get into your pricing structure. The people that I did things for free were a lot more grateful than the people who paid me very little. Um, and yeah, it's tough to it's a tough balancing act, and it's one that I am currently struggling. Some point there'll be an outro for the podcast. We'll figure that out later.
it's James
Um,
singing. That's the outro.
oh
Outro.
shit! Uh, what do
Book a
we?
call with James.
We're time with the two. Uh, everybody need to make some money.
Put
Um,
yourself correctly.
put your porn links in the comments. We're not going to look at them, but we're happy to help.